This program is brought to you by Pussy Magnets.
Put a midge on your fridge with a pussy magnet.
Welcome, my lovely lumps. Or should I say lovely labs? I'm so thrilled to have you here in the Labia Lounge to yarn about all things sexuality, womanhood, holistic health, and everything in between. Your legs. Can never help myself. Anyway, we're going to have vag loads of real chats with real people about real shit. So buckle up. You're about to receive the sex ed that you never had and have a bloody good laugh while you're at it. Before we get stuck in, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this, the Menang people. It's an absolute privilege to be living and creating dope podcast content on Noongar country, and I pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, if you're all ready, let's flap and do this. Oh God, is there such thing as too many vagina jokes in the one intro? Whatever, I'm leaving it in. It's my podcast.
Don't panic, you're not broken. Your sex education was a piece of shit. Get your flaps out and pull up the couch. It's the Labia Lounge.
Hello, my labial loves. Stoked to have you back in the lounge for what is going to be part 2 of another juicy TMI war, I guess, where we're sparring. I'm sparring with Kat Henesy from Cats Out of the Bag, and also from the Bachelor fame, because she was in I think the Honey Badger season. Is that right?
That's right.
And I've been on Kat's Potty, which is called Cats Out of the Bag, if you hadn't gathered, a few times now. We actually just recorded part 1 over on there, so would recommend checking that out. I think we'll tee it up so that we launch them both in the same, like at the same time. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, this is part 2. We've already like wet the whistle with a whole bunch of nasty TMI stories. And so we're just gonna like launch back in. And I guess if you're kind of joining us for the first time and you are unaware what like TMI even refers to and why the hell I'd want to be talking about it, TMI stands for too much information, and it's sort of my way of destigmatizing and normalizing the topics that are like taboo or, you know, shrouded in shame, or that people would consider to be gross or messy or just like too personal, too private, you know, for like public conversation. I just think it's very like empowering to, you know, talk about this stuff more openly, because it dismantles that shame and that stigma, and it helps people realize that there's other people out there experiencing something that maybe they thought was just them, you know, or that they were feeling really like embarrassed and ashamed of. So, you know, it can be about like periods, bodies, sex, you know, like pretty much anything that someone would maybe, you know, maybe wrinkle their nose up at and be like, ooh, TMI, like, I don't want to hear about that. I'm just like, fuck that. You're going to hear about it. But also, you don't have to listen to this podcast. So, without further ado, let's launch in. Are you ready?
Fucking ready. Hello, guys. I'm so keen to do this.
TMI, we love it. Said TMI, we love it.
Obviously, Freya's just mentioned I have my podcast called Cats Out of the Bag, and I'm a 28-year-old gal who is super open about sex. I live on the Gold Coast, and I pretty much started my podcast and these conversations just to pretty much help empower other women and normalize conversations and just like be a part of this whole like sex movement, which I feel like everyone's so, you know, it's just becoming more normalized in these past few years than it has in the past. So yeah, I just guess I use my outgoing, over the top personality to discuss these little points. And yeah, I just love doing it. I love talking about sex, and definitely have a whole heap of TMI stories for all of you as well. So that's probably a little bit up about me.
Fabulous. Yeah, you were just such an easy choice when I was thinking about who would be great to chat with about TMI stories. And I feel like, so do you have any, like, I don't know if you're even allowed to talk about this. Maybe you had to sign like a non-disclosure agreement, but do you have any juicy TMI stories about your time on The Bachelor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, what do you want to know about, like, little, like, behind the scenes things of, like, what kind of actually goes on and stuff?
Ooh, that could be good. And also if there's anything like in particular about the honey badger, but uh, no pressure.
I mean, the thing is with the honey badger is, like, they make out that you get all this time to get to know them, but, like, realistically, I probably spent, like, max an hour with him in the whole, like, 12
Right.
weeks I was filming, or however long I was in there for.
Wow.
And when they bring him to meet you, it's like he's there and then he gets pulled away for an interview and you get pulled away for an interview, or it's supervised, or there's 10 producers there. So it's like you never really get that time to crack down and find anything
Mm,
too much about them. So in terms of, like, me really knowing him, I never really got that chance. And I feel like, yes, some of
mhm,
the girls that went all the way to the end got to know him a little bit more, but not in the sense that you'd ever know someone in a real life relationship. And I feel like a lot of that comes down to, like, there's so many walls up in the sense of you're not going to go and root someone. Like, no one's having sex there. And like, you do wonder, you go, oh, do people fuck? Like, what happens? But, like, no one has sex. Like, you don't go, like, and suddenly get, like, fingered in the pool. Like, it's not a thing. So I feel like that's when you learn a lot of those more, like, deeper personal things about someone, when share that
mm.
sexual
When
intimacy,
you're getting fingered in the pool. Yeah.
when you're getting fingered, or, like, having probably really bad sex for the first time with each other and figuring out what each other likes. But yeah, I feel like it's so surface level that you never really get to that next stage there.
Mhm, yeah.
I mean, if anything, you get to
Yeah.
know the girls that you're living with. You get to know the ins and outs about all of them, but that's probably
Mm.
the how far it would go.
Yeah, totally. Fuck, how did you go, like, sort of interacting or, like, being on a date when you just had a billion cameras and producers and stuff around you? Like, that sounds like my worst nightmare.
It's really weird. Like, I loved it when we were in group settings. Like, I felt like, because I'm just so outgoing and I just kind of, like, speak my mind, and it definitely got me into trouble a little bit. But I feel like when I was in my one-on-one time with him, it almost made me, like, freeze up. Like, I felt like I couldn't be
Mm,
myself. But I also think it comes back down to the fact that, like, him and I just didn't gel. Like, every time I'd speak
yeah.
to him, it was almost like he was disengaged. He would, like, when you're talking to someone and you feel like they're, like, looking past you, like they're like
Mm, mhm.
almost not looking you in the eyes, but looking what's going on behind you or something. Like, I felt like
Yeah.
that was what was happening every time. Like, he was pretending to listen but wasn't, and was thinking about something else. So I really found it hard to connect. And then it made me just awkward on the camera when I was with him. So it was weird. It
Mm,
definitely takes getting used to. And, like, you've got to be so
mm.
careful, because there were times when, like, we didn't think they were filming us or listening. And then they fucking
Oh.
used this little, like, snippet of us looking fucked. So,
Oh my god, yuck.
yeah.
Yeah, and, like, I know, I mean, this is not the topic of the episode, but I guess I'm just curious. Like, didn't they kind of edit it in a way that painted you as, like, the fucking she-devil or something?
Yeah. I was, like, completely villainized. And, like, look, I probably did say some things that were a little bit like left and stuff. But it was like, lock any 25 women in a house with no outside
Mhm.
contact to the world, calling your parents once for 15 minutes on a monitored phone call once a fortnight. Like, and then
Oh
you've
my
got a
god.
bunch of producers manipulating you to, like, be pitted against each other to fight for the one guy. Like, it makes anyone go crazy. And, like, there was a lot more that
Mm,
happened behind closed doors, and a lot of, like, bitchiness and stuff. But then as soon as the cameras would turn on, a lot of the women in there would, just kind of act all innocent and lovely, and it just wasn't the case when the cameras weren't rolling. But I just kind of like did what I did on and off camera, and it just I don't know, it was quite hard because it like definitely like shut off a lot of opportunities and stuff for me after just how I was painted, and they just didn't show like a true depiction of my personality, which was shit. But I feel like I've done things like doing my podcast and showing myself on my social media and stuff more to like let people know who I am and what my personality is, because I didn't get like I'm the kind of person that I have a very sarcastic sense of humor. So like they'd ask me a question in an interview and I'd say a joke and then I'd laugh at the end, but they'd cut off my laugh. So I'd look like I was saying all these really bitchy comments, but it was actually I was taking the piss. And, you know, you can make anyone look any way you want. Like even me, for instance, just I was like, oh, yeah, no, I don't really like that dress. And it could be like about a dress I wore, but then they put the voiceover over a girl walking going, I don't really like that dress.
Oh, wow.
So there's so much like, I know like people hate to be like, don't blame it on the edit, but like there is a lot of editing that goes on and there is a lot of manipulation and you know, I got fucking rolled on it. So it was fucked. But, you know, you live and you learn. Like, no regrets. I learned a lot. I met some cool people and it's definitely like shaped me who I am today. It's given me a really good backbone, which, you know, when I had the whole of Australia hating me and like sending me death threats and all that sort of shit, like I had to deal with that. So,
oh my God. What the fuck? Were you just a wreck? Like, was your mental health really suffering from that?
Yeah, it was awful. It was so hard. But I felt like because I had two girlfriends on there with me that were going through a similar thing, I kind of spent my whole time supporting them. And like, I felt like I didn't let it get to me. And I was like, no, we're fine. Like, this is all good. And then I went back on The Bachelor in Paradise like a month after our show aired, like went straight back into filming. And I didn't really give myself any time to like, you know, overcome what had happened or like think it through or digest anything. And I pretty much had like a mental breakdown there on TV, like, and yeah. So yeah, it was fucked, but at the same time, I don't regret it, and I do think I learnt a lot. So yeah, of course, no one wants to be trolled, no one wants to be hated. Like of course it was difficult. So I'd be fucking insane if I said it was easy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Babe, that's huge. Holy shit. I kind of want to do a whole epi about that now. But we did promise TMI stories, so maybe I'll I'm keen. I'm really keen on that. Well, I guess all right. Maybe I'll kick us off. I'm just trying to think which one I will start with. I'll just do like a quick fire, like a little one, just to see if it sparks any new. But I have a friend who got pretty excited about like putting things in her vagina and thought like she was going on this date with a boy and they were like classic make out point vibes, like sitting in the car like making out, and she had like she brought a crunchy with her, like a crunchy bar, like a chocolate bar with a honeycomb in the center.
Yeah, delicious.
And she it was like kind of using it as like a dildo, I guess, and like putting it in her vag and then like put it all the way up there. And then she was saying how she like obviously the layer of chocolate melts off and then it's just the honeycomb, which is like kind of abrasive and like not a vibe. And yeah, she said she was getting like little bits of honeycomb out of her pussy for like weeks and the weirdest colored discharge, like chocolatey kind of discharge. Yeah.
My first question is, okay, firstly, interesting to want to shove different objects up your vagina. I feel like that's something you might do when you're like, 14 trying to experiment. But
I think she was a teenager.
Okay. Well, this makes it a little bit more acceptable. But how when you open a chocolate, how like the top of the wrapper is almost like zigzagged?
Yeah.
It's so you can tear it. Like,
Mhm.
Wouldn't that fucking spike into you? Like, I just cannot
Oh,
imagine.
no, she took it out of the wrapper.
Oh,
Yeah, so the chocolate on the bar melted in her pussy and then the honeycomb was a bit of an issue. So, like, yeah, she took it out of the wrapper.
okay. I thought she full went like, supermarket crunchy up her vagina.
Yeah.
No, wow. Okay, that's
Uh,
asking for thrush.
Yeah, because the sugar would feed the bacteria. I know. I think as like a horny, like explorative teenager, getting creative like is sometimes fun and sometimes really detrimental. But I think she learned from that, and I would just say like, there's definitely a lot to be said for there's like a whole sort of I don't know if I'd call it a movement, but there's definitely a lot of info and like blog posts and like accounts and stuff that talk about like using food in a sexual way, eating sexily, whatever, and then also like putting veggies, like using veggies as sex toys and stuff. And I would just say, like, probably if you're going to use like a carrot or a cucumber or like whatever, maybe just like whack a condom on it because it just means there's like, yeah, it's more hygienic. There's like no kind of roughness. It makes it a bit smoother. But like also buy a dildo maybe. Like I guess if you were really in a bind and you just didn't have anything else to work with, like I get it. But personally, I guess I've never really felt the need. Definitely no judgment though.
Dude, this
Yeah.
is the most fucked. I've never told anyone this in my life. Like,
Oh my
literally
God, yes.
no one. I like don't even want to say it because I don't want my boyfriend to hear me upstairs.
Oh my
But
God, do it.
oh my God, this is fucked. So when I was
Do
like
it.
13 or 14, like I went to like experiment with vegetables. So I went up into the fridge and I got out like a carrot and a cucumber and I like masturbated with
I
them in the
picked them.
pardon. Yeah, a cucumber and a
I picked
carrot.
both of those. Yeah, nice. Okay.
And I masturbated with them on the bathroom floor. And then I panicked and I was like, what the fuck do I do with them now? I can't put them back in the fridge and then someone eats them and I can't just throw it in the bin or mum will see it. So I hid them. I had this like plastic bag in my bathroom that was filled with like my hair ribbons for school. So I like hid them in my plastic bag with all my hair, like scrunchies and ribbons and everything, and literally just let them fucking rot in this like plastic bag. I'm not even kidding. And then like I had to throw out all my ribbons and stuff because they were like covered in like grey mold and shit.
Oh my God. Why didn't you just put him in the bin or the compost? You didn't want someone to see like a whole carrot and be like, oh, what a waste.
Well, my mum would have seen it in the bin and be like, why'd you throw a carrot in the bin? I was just, when you just
Yeah.
it's almost when you're younger, you like think of every situation that could happen and the worst situation that could come out of any of it. And then you just get super paranoid. So I was like, well, the
Totally.
logical thing here is to put it in my drawer in my bathroom and let it rot. But like realistically, that was fucking dumb. Like take it out to the bins when like it's bin day. But, this isn't the thing a 14-year-old girl thinks of when she's just shamefully masturbated on the bathroom floor.
Oh my God. So fun. Was it good? Like, did you enjoy it though?
I feel like I'm so scarred by the like rotten vegetable part of it that like I can't even remember the pleasure. Like that's
Yeah.
where I'm at.
Cool. Well, love that. Really, really appreciate that you shared that story for the first time ever with anyone on my podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
I was like so embarrassed. I can't believe I just said that. When you were saying Violet Cross, I was like, oh, do I say it? Do I say it? And then I was like, fuck it. As soon as you said carrot, I was like, all right, there's my fucking sign to like let
I said carrot and cucumber. I had you fucking picked, dude.
Yeah, you pinned me down to the ground, like pretty much forced me to tell that story. Oh,
Love it.
that's
That's what I do. I reckon everyone would have like a story about how they had to dispose of something, like like bedding that they'd maybe I don't know, like guys with their bedding and their sheets when they have like their first wet dream or something like that. Like we literally just spoke about on your podcast the whole like, you know, having to dispose of sanitary items and being in tricky situations with that. So yeah, I think like most people can relate to like that moment of like panic, like, okay, I've got these items, I need to hide them somehow. Like I also maybe don't want anyone to see me walking from the bathroom while I'm holding them on my way to the bin. So yeah, totally relate to that. Hey, Babe Towns. So sorry to interrupt, but I simply had to pop my head into the lounge here and mention another virtual lounge that you've got to get around. It's the Labia Lounge Facebook group that I've created for listeners of the potty to mingle in. And there you'll find extra bits and bobs like freebies or discounts for offerings from guests who've been interviewed on the podcast, inspiring and thought-provoking conversations, and support from a community of labial legends. I also have an account on the fab new app Sunroom, which is a platform created by women for women and non-binary folk, and where there's no shadow banning or censorship of sex-positive content, unlike with the other platforms that I'm on. So you can hit up my Sunroom for extra content and real and raw life updates, because I'll be sharing on there from now on all of the stuff that I can't post anywhere else. My vision for both of these is that they become really supportive, educational, and hilarious resources for you to have more access to me and a safe space to ask questions that you can't ask anywhere else. So head over to the links in the show notes and I'll hopefully see you in there. And now, back to the episode.
I used to nanny when I was like 18, and one of the boys was like 12, and he would just literally fucking masturbate and just come onto his sheets like all the time. But he had like black sheets, so they were just like covered in this like white semen, and it was just like so revolting. And then he also used to just shit in random corners of his bedroom.
What?
I forgot about it just then. Yeah, just shit.
Oh my God.
So
That's
weird.
not right.
No, really weird.
Was he all there? Wow.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, anyway, that like flung the story another way. But yeah, he used to like just be like covered in them, and I'd have to go and like make the bed in the morning, and I'd just be like, ugh, like fucking feral.
Oh my God. Wow. You'd think you'd kind of go out of your way to try to avoid the situation where someone sees like your massively cum covered sheets. But anyway, each to their own. Well, what else have I'm just gonna scroll through my list and see. So like I love this one. This is like a friend of mine, and like he's so just like sexually open and just completely shame free. Like I fucking love it. He's always good for stories like this. But he's into I don't know if he's like into it in the sense that he gets off on it, but he's at least really okay with it. And this is like drinking piss. So he has this loft bed, and when his girlfriend and he are like up in the loft bed, like sleeping, like, you know how annoying it is to get down from a bunk bed to go pee in the middle of the night or something?
Yeah.
He just like, if she needs to wee, sometimes like she will just piss in his mouth and he will drink it, and then they just can stay up in the bed. Yeah. So like if they're having sex, or if they're just like enjoying being up there and they don't want to, like she can't be bothered going down. And like, I guess he must like it enough to like welcome that. But yeah, he just drinks her piss so that she doesn't have to get down from the bed.
Okay, that for me is like, no. Like I feel like to be able to do that, you'd have to have some sort of like piss fetish, because
True, yeah.
I just don't see, like, there'd have to be some sort of pleasure out of that to want to, you know, drink piss.
Yeah, like he might be into golden showers and urine like generally as like a bit of a kink or something. Yeah, totally. Because even that's just like, I don't know, a lot of liquid and
also
don't
be lazy. Just climb down the ladder and go to the loo, doll.
I mean, I've definitely had like, you know, business ideas for like Shiwi type funnels. Because I've actually had a couple of loft beds in my time. I used to think they were really dope and they like save on space when you're in like a fucking expensive and tiny cubicle of a bedroom in like a Melbourne share house. And so I've like had this debacle and it's pretty annoying, like having to get down. And then one time I lived upstairs and the toilet was downstairs and I had the loft. So I had to like get down from the ladder of the bed and then go down the stairs. So I would like dream, I never did it, but I would like dream that I had some kind of contraption that was like a funnel and I could piss in it and it would like trickle down into a bucket at the bottom of the bed. And like, yeah, I've definitely pissed in jars and stuff when I like really need to or something. But
but excuse me. But I did used to live in an apartment and I was like, I rented like the study as my bedroom. It was like the smallest bedroom in the entire world. And it actually wasn't a bedroom. It was like a 2-bedroom apartment with a study. And I rented it. So the bathroom was downstairs. And I'm a night peer. Like I piss every single night. So I'd have to wake up, walk down the stairs, and I'd like try and hold off for as long as possible. Like even last night, I like really needed to wee this morning and like held off from going. I was like, oh, I can't be bothered to wake up. And you kind of just like fall back asleep. But yeah, it's a thing.
it's a thing. It's so annoying. And you don't want to like get up because it wakes you up more to like get out of bed and walk around and then you might have trouble getting back to sleep. Like that's the thing that gets me. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a pretty out there story. I was like, whoa, dude, holy shit. I don't know anyone else who does that. It's amazing. Not for me, but amazing. I've also, so like a lot of my stories are like ones that I got from friends because I've sort of rinsed a lot of my own stories on this podcast already. But yeah, like one of my mates dislocated his shoulder while he was orgasming. And then just wound up with like jizz all over him when the paramedics had to like come and get him and stuff. So that would have been, yeah, poor guy.
But they would have seen some shit, like the amount of like, I have a friend who's a doctor and he says that like the amount of people who come into the emergency room with God knows what's stuck up their fucking anus, like it's wild.
Yeah, seriously. Like, oh, it would happen all that my mum's a nurse and she's got some stories as well. And it's just like, yeah, of course, like even I'll get messages every now and then from followers being like, oh my God, I don't know who else to like ask, but I have this thing stuck up my vagina. Like, often it's a yoni egg because they are prone to getting stuck. If you don't like put a thread through them so that you've got a string to pull them out, then they're prone to getting stuck. Also, I think her thread had like fallen out or something. So she, you know, this one person had like a yoni egg stuck and she was like, oh my God, like I don't know who else to ask or talk to, but like what should I do? Like I really don't want to have to go into the doctor, but it's been like 48 hours. And like, yeah, it's such a thing. Like I got a garlic clove stuck up there once because I was like trying to naturally treat my thrush and I had to get a friend to like fish it out for me. I got a moon cup stuck up there recently. That was fucking nightmare fuel. It was like I'd never used a moon cup. Yeah. And it had like suctioned onto my cervix, which I've heard actually quite a few times. Like I think that's something that happens to lots of people. And it was like so suctioned on there that I just could not like get. And I think my cervix is like in this particular position and tilted in this way that it's like quite hard to reach at the best of times. And I just couldn't fucking get it out. And I was distraught. Like by the end, my partner was like I was just like lying on the bathroom floor with my legs up and he was like trying everything and it was so horrible. It was really painful because I got really inflamed and like sore from trying for so long to like get it out. And yeah, it was bad. Like by the end I was just crying hysterically and he was just like, oh my God, babe, I'm so sorry. Just one more. I'm going to try one more. I'm going to like try this now. And like he ended up having to put like one finger from each of his hands, like pointer fingers, like in at the same time, like that, and then kind of try to get under the lip of it. But it's tricky to describe without like showing you. But yeah, it was so bad. It was traumatic.
I know a few girlfriends who have had like heaps of trouble getting them out. So I've been like a little bit too scared to use them just like I have like a weirdly like tight vagina. So I just feel like knowing me, I'd like I struggle getting a tampon in, let alone like a period cup. I just know that it would backfire on me for sure.
Yeah, it was like literally the first time I'd used one, and I was like, never again. Like, I know that, you can get the hang of it, or you can get one that's a good size or whatever, but like, yeah, it just not for me, never again. But how do you go having sex? Like, if you struggle to get a tampon in while we're talking TMI, if you don't mind sharing, like, how do you go having penetrative sex?
It's always like I have to use lube. Like if I don't use lube, it will like hurt, and I have to like have a certain amount of foreplay before I have sex because
Yeah.
I'm just really tired. And then like also like I've been on Roaccutane before for like my skin issues, so that's like pretty much like kind of fucked up how wet I get, like because it strips all the oils out of your body, and I just like have never gotten as wet since. So I feel like the combination of like my pussy not getting very wet and having a tight vagina is just like, how does the dick get in? So yeah, it's definitely like I need lube and I need like other like
Foreplay.
yeah, but like if I don't get the right foreplay, it will hurt, and then it's like I don't enjoy it. If you get like if it goes in and it's a bit sore at the start, it just ruins the rest of the experience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of all over Red Rover. Like if it's already sore, then it's not really going to get much better once it's already kind of like inflamed and stuff. And there's like micro tears happen and shit. Like even just with someone with like a giant cock, like that can be like a no-go zone, Like sometimes like I've come across dicks and no amount of foreplay. I'm just like, nah, that's not happening, dude.
I know. And it's like it's not enjoyable as well. And like especially if you want to have like regular sex and stuff, if a guy's dick's too big, like there is such thing as too big. And I will be one to vote that size does not matter. Because I dated a guy who had the teeniest little dick and he would make me come twice every time we would have sex.
Epic. Oh my God. What do you think was the thing that made it so good?
We were very like sexually connected, but I think he just like knew how to make me come. And I don't know, maybe his little dick worked with my little pussy, but like
True.
yeah, fully, but like tiny, tiny dick. And then I've also had sex with guys who have a huge dick, and I'm like, this is too much. Like this isn't something that I couldn't like. It's like I couldn't date you and have sex with you. I couldn't go on a weekend away with you and have a sex marathon, or I'd be like going to the fucking emergency room.
Yeah, wheelchair. I know I've like never dated someone with like that level of like monster cock. I've definitely had like boyfriends with pretty big dicks, and it's posed a bit of an issue long term. And then like one of my best friends was dating a guy for years, and it was such an issue for them. It was like he just must have had such a huge dick. And I guess also like, your vaginal canal can vary in size and length and stuff. So for them, it was just this ongoing issue. And it was really heartbreaking because they adored each other and they were so great in so many ways, but like very incompatible, like physiologically with like how their genitals fit together. And it was really sad. It was like, fuck. And they ended up breaking up, not just because of that, but I would say it was definitely a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if you can't have that intimacy with each other, then like, you may as well be, not saying you may as well be friends because there's other things you can do, but like it is pretty important to be able to, get over those things and stuff. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, I've got a listener story as well that I've got a few listener stories that I can flick into the mix. Well, I've actually got one who sent me in an audio. It doesn't sound great audio wise through the mic doing it this way, but I'm gonna just do it anyway because it's kind of nice coming from her mouth. So I'll just like kind of play it into the mic and let's see if it works.
Perfect.
I have a fun TMI story.
Can you hear that?
So when I was
Yeah.
about 18 or 19, I was dating this guy who lived in Melbourne, and I went to see him one day and we had sex, and he was obviously stimulating my G-spot or A-spot. And I was obviously squirting, but at the time I was so young and naive because I was never taught about it. I thought he was pissing inside me, and I left him, broke up with him, and then told some of my friends that he had pissed inside me.
Stop.
Brutal.
Can you imagine like the realization later on when you were like, I was squirting. He was a good guy.
I know, the one that got away.
Oh my God. I should tell you the story about, I mean, I've told this on my podcast, but I feel like your listeners will appreciate it. But
Yeah.
I used to hook up with this guy when I was younger, and we like had a really big day on the piss and like went back to his, had sex, like fell asleep. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. and he was just like in the corner of his bedroom pissing on the floor. And I was like, I opened my eyes and I just like didn't know what to do. Like if this happened to me now, I'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like stop. But I just froze and I just like kind of watched him piss, then closed my eyes and then opened them again. And I was like, I thought it was a dream and it wasn't. And then I didn't say anything and I fell back asleep and I woke up like a few hours later and I was like, did I dream that? And I sat up and there was like a wet patch on the floor and I was like, oh my God, that actually happened. And then I kept seeing him, but every time I'd come over, I just felt like his room reeked of piss. And I weirded out that he maybe thought that I pissed and like it was just this whole
Do you think he was sleepwalking?
Yeah, he we've spoken about it now. Like we spoke about it like years later, because we're good mates. And I was like, dude, you like pissed one time. He was like, did I? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, I always pee the bed. I was like, but it was really confronting for me being like 23 and thinking I probably was even like 20 or something. Like I was super young and I just didn't know how to handle that situation because I didn't want to be like, what are you doing? And then freak him out and I didn't want to make him embarrassed or anything. So I left it. But yeah, it was pretty confronting.
Oh my God. Had he been drinking?
Yeah. He has like a weak bladder, so he always has to go to the toilet and stuff. But yeah, he's he done it many a time. But there is there's a lot of guys can get so drunk that they'll just piss in the cupboard or not know where they are and stuff. And to me, it just seems insane because I've never had issues with my bladder. Like even I haven't pissed the bed since I got out of nappies, my mum told me. So it's never been a thing for me. So it feels so left of field, but I know it is a thing. And I know there were kids that would piss their pants heaps when you were 9, 10, 11 and that was probably him.
Yeah, true. Oh, so traumatic for those poor kids. And I've definitely had boyfriends who would drink too much and then piss the bed. And then I would wake up in a cold puddle of piss and be like, whoa, what the fuck? And then they would try and blame it on me. And I'm like, dude, look at my pajamas. They are dry. You have a wet patch. Come on now.
Oh my God. I just see the thought of that, like thought of it seeping into my mattress. Like I wouldn't want to sleep on my bed again.
Yeah. Excuse the interruption, my loves, but I'm shamelessly seeking reviews and 5-star ratings for the potty because, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, it's pretty fab. And the more people who get to hear it, the more people it can help. Reviews and ratings help me curry favour with the algorithmic gods and get suggested to other listeners to check out. Plus, they make me feel really good and appreciated as I continue to pour my heart and soul into creating this baby for you. And I promise I don't mazz over them or anything. I mostly just tuck them away for a rainy day when I'm filled with self-doubt and existential dread about being self-employed, which is fairly frequently. So you see, leaving a review really does make a difference, and it's an easy little act of support that you can take in just a minute or two by either going to Spotify and leaving 5 stars for the show or writing a written review and leaving 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts. Choose your poison, or if you're a real overachiever, you could do both. Whoa now. If you are writing a review though, just be sure to only use G-rated words because despite the fact that this is a podcast about sexuality, words like sex can be censored and your review won't actually show up. Lame. Anyway, what was that? Oh, you're going to go do it right now while I wait. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. May as well just quickly click that 5-star button before we get on with it and, forget about it and get on with your day. I'm hearing them roll in. I'm hearing those 5 stars. Oh my God, I make myself cringe. Anyway, thank you much, Lee. You're a total gem, and I'll let you get back to the episode now. All right, what else have I got? I got a beautiful. I've got some cool listener stories. One woman wrote in and said, I never learnt that it was normal to have blood clots on your period. So when I noticed the first blood clot, I thought I had somehow got pregnant and then had a miscarriage, and that clot was like a little fetus. And went on to Google what miscarried fetuses look like and everything like that. And this was when I first got over the grossness that was ingrained. Oh, yeah. And this was when I first got over the grossness that was ingrained in me to feel about period blood. And, I realized that it wasn't a fetus because she saw multiple clots and stuff like that. And anyway, I just thought that is probably something that a lot of, especially teenagers, when they're having periods and stuff and getting clots, they might think that,
Well, because isn't it like your vaginal wall? It's the egg or so. It's, what is it again?
The uterus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the uterine lining. So there can be chunks of tissue, sometimes it's blood clots, which is when the blood has coagulated, or maybe there's old blood that's been sitting in there and it's kind of gotten a bit thicker or whatever. But then there can actually be hunks, maybe not hunks, but sort of chunks of uterine lining and tissue.
Yeah, definitely.
Which,
I feel that to me all the time.
Yeah. And so, of course, for a teenager, that might look and seem super scary. And that reminds me of another one that I'm just going to try and find it. It's a story from another listener. Where is it? Oh, maybe I haven't written it down. Anyway, I kind of remember it, but she had to get a termination, and it was the medical one, so taking a tablet. And I've heard about this happening. It's so funny because it's not funny at all, but it happened to 3 people I knew within a month, where they'd taken the medical termination or abortion or whatever pill, and then it didn't properly work, and so there was still pregnancy tissue in there, and it caused bleeding for 6 weeks or something crazy with one of them. And yeah, just horrible really bad cramps, and obviously they were fuck, something is not right. And this one woman was telling me how she was all right, I just feel there's still I feel like there's still something like stuck there. She could feel like in her cervix. And so she like squatted down and like reached up in there and like had a feel around, found her cervix, and she found that there was like a sort of chunk of tissue that was like hanging out of her cervix that she had to like pull out herself. And this is like pretty visceral. I should have warned everyone. But she had to basically pull out like this sort of pregnancy tissue that was left over that didn't properly terminate, and pretty much like manually give herself an abortion. Like so hectic. But also, and you know, like I think like very traumatic and confronting overall, that whole experience for her. But I think she was also kind of like quite empowered after that experience of like being able to do that for herself, and then the feeling of like finally getting all of it out and that being complete.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Wild.
So that one's pretty real.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had any like pregnancy scares or anything like that. Actually, no, that's a lie. I thought I was pregnant when I was like 12 from giving head and did a pregnancy test and like got my period as from giving head and got my period as I did the test.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, how's the universe working like that?
Bless. Oh, the things that we believe when we're kids. We've just got the fear of God put into us about getting pregnant, hey?
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die. Don't have sex in the missionary position. Don't have sex standing up. Just don't do it. Promise?
I didn't even know that you could only get pregnant when you're ovulating up until like my girlfriend started trying to have kids. Like it just wasn't something that we spoke about or learnt about or anything. So the amount of times I've taken the morning after pill and like fucked my body up when I didn't even need to. So it's because I didn't learn that and because I wasn't like in touch with my cycle or didn't, you know enough about my body. And it's so something that, you know, I want to make sure my kids, if I'm blessed enough to have a girl, like I want them to be so aware of and about, and I want to be able to like give that awareness to my children as well, just because it was so something that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good get pregnant and die story, actually. That's a segment that I usually do on the potty, and you just fucking nailed it without even meaning to. But yeah, that's something I'm going to be very consciously teaching my children about, and like everybody else's children around me. I'm just going to be like that creepy auntie that like talks about sex and teaches.
About sex again.
Oh God.
No. So funny.
So funny. I've got another beautiful listener story. She was saying, for the first couple of years of having my period, I only ever used pads because I couldn't get the hang of tampons. I tried one once, but it hurt and I just couldn't get it in comfortably. Same experience for me. I just took years. I think I used applicator tampons for so long. So I gave up on them. Some years later, I was whining to my boyfriend about having to wear a pad at a party we were going to, because skinny jeans and pads is the worst combination. Bless. He asked me, why don't I just use a tampon? Like that was so easy and obvious. I told him how I hated them and couldn't get them in properly, so he came up with a plan. We would have some pre-drinks before the party, and once I'm tipsy enough, he would put the tampon in for me. So there I was, semi-wasted, laying on my bed with my legs up in the giving birth position as he got down there and, with the help of plenty of lube, slipped in the tampon for me. After that, I gained the confidence I needed and couldn't believe what the fuss was all about, and I've been grateful ever since.
Oh my God, what a fucking legend.
No, that's so lovely.
That's so awesome. Dude, I got my period when I was like 7 and I didn't put a tampon in until I was like maybe 14. But I thought that you peed out of the same hole that your period came out of. So every time I would go to the toilet, I would change my tampon. And then I developed this like pee phobia because I was like, I'd pee, put a tampon in, and then I'd go, oh no, I need to pee again. Oh no, but I've just put a new tampon in. I'm going to have to change it again. So I would I would go through so many fucking tampons and I didn't need to. And it was like an embarrassingly late age where I found out this actually wasn't the case. So I'm there
Oh my God.
fucking ruining the planet and like my fucking soul at the same time.
Oh my God, you poor thing. That's such a sweet story, but also so like, oh, so sad. That's
Like, how
like,
did
why
I not?
the fuck? Yeah, like, how do we get to this age without knowing that shit? You know, like, that is a crime. It's just such a failure of the education system and, like, yeah, society. But oh my God.
And I just thought it was all came out of the same hole. It was just all the same thing.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember when I figured that out. But I also just really struggled with tampons for like so many years. Like I didn't use them. And then when I did, I was using applicator tampons so that I didn't have to like put my fingers inside and like try to get it there. Cause like I'd never had any luck with that. But then I also think I was just like harboring quite a bit of like body shame and I was quite grossed out by my body. So like if I could avoid having to like touch my vag, then I would. So yeah, I used applicator tampons for ages. Nowadays I don't use tampons at all. I just prefer to like let that blood flow out of me. But yeah, loved that story. Thought it was such a sweet thing. And there was another the kind of period related story about a woman getting her period at work, and she worked in an aged care home. And yeah, she got her period at work, and then one of the like lovely old people that she was looking after like gave her a pull-up pad, like those adult diapers.
Stop.
And yeah, and she was like wandering around with an adult diaper underneath her clothes like for the rest of the day at work, which I just loved.
Oh my God. It's like, yep, I've got a sexy big ass, or is it just a fucking diaper?
Who knows? Why didn't you find out?
That's so good.
Oh, fuck. So I have a story which I've not really told many people, probably because it was like a bit too raw and a bit too fresh, and just like weird. But I think I'm ready to tell it, and I think now might be the time. It's like a bit left of center, but like anyway, I don't know if you guys remember seeing on my Instagram when we got those like baby turkeys, but we got some turkey chicks and it was super dreamy and like so adorable. And one of them had this thing called like splayed leg where like, and like I promise this becomes relevant. I know this doesn't seem like a relevant TMI story, but anyway, talking about baby turkeys. It had like splayed legs, so its legs would kind of go out to the side and it couldn't walk. And so like the remedy, apparently it's quite common for baby like chicks or poultry or whatever. So I did a lot of YouTubing and Googling, and you can bring their legs into the center by like putting this little contraption out of like a rubber band and a straw. And it basically like loops around their tiny little fucking legs, and it draws with the elastic, it draws their legs in to the center so that they're like underneath their body properly, and then they can like walk, and it strengthens the muscles and brings it all in. And, you know, and then you just have it on for like a couple of days and then they're fine. But we got these turkeys like when they were kind of a bit older than you would usually be able to heal that. And so it had already kind of grown and pretty deformed. And so I'm trying to heal this like turkey. And because I'm like spending all this time with it because it's crippled and it can't walk, it's like sitting on my lap while I'm working at my laptop. It's like hanging out with me in the house. Like it's got to be kept warm all the time. So it's like always with me. And turkeys are like fucking puppies. Like I didn't know this. I'd never had turkeys, but they're actually like such adorable little companions. Like if they bond with you, they imprint on you and then they like follow you around and shit. And so this one turkey bonded with me like I was its mum, and it was like super attached. And so if I would leave the room, it would cry. Like every morning I'd wake up to it like cheeping in the incubator being like, where are you? And then it would quieten down if it was on my lap, and all it wanted to do all day long was cuddle. And its legs just like weren't really healing that well, but eventually it started to, and it would like I'd like go have a shower, and because I'd left the room, because I work from home, so I was home a lot, so it really like got attached, and it would like walk to the bathroom door to like try to be near me, and I was like, oh my God, and that would give it walking practice and strengthen its muscles. And it was like getting to the point where I could probably take off the rubber bands and like put it back in with the others. And I was like so smitten at this point. Like I had a billion videos of this little turkey. Like I'd be cooking in the kitchen and all it wanted to do was be near me. So if I'd like walk from the stove to the fridge, it would follow me and stand right in between my legs. And then I'd walk back and it would follow me. Like it just had to be right near me. So, you know, anything that shows me that much love and devotion, I am obsessed with, because Lockie won't let me get a dog or a cat. So turkeys are my thing. That's all I've got to work with. And anyway, I was like, cool, it's like almost like healed. And then Locke and I got like gastro, but we didn't know yet. And I was just starting to feel a bit off. And we had like this whole big Indian dinner planned with his family that night. And I was like, the turkey had like cried out in the morning. So I went and got it and like had it in bed, and it was kind of on the bed cuddling us. And then I like got out of bed to go to the toilet, and then I was messaging, I was like sitting on the back deck messaging his mum being like, oh, I don't know if we can actually come to dinner. Like we're feeling pretty off. Like I'm starting to feel really funny in the tummy. And as I'm texting her to cancel, I do a fart and I shit myself. and I haven't sharted since I was like in India. And other than that, since I was a kid, like I was horrified. And also because Lockie and I have this like running bet like about who's going to shit themselves first in public. And like I so had my money on him, and I was like, oh, he's going to tease the fuck out of me. Like I just lost the bet. I'm feeling like crap. I just farted and accidentally shit a bit in my undies. Like I'm having a pretty bad day already. And I like go back into the bedroom to like, and you know, it did cross my mind that I could just not tell him. And then I wouldn't lose the bet. And then he wouldn't be smug and tease me and laugh at me. But I also thought it was pretty funny. So I went in and I was like, oh, babe, I just shit myself when I farted. And I like threw myself dramatically down on the bed, and I flung my hand out and I squashed my baby turkey. It was like on the bed and I'd forgotten about it. And I fucking heard this like squeaky, like it was like I'd sort of like stepped on a squeaky toy. It was fucked. I was like, oh my God, I just shit myself and I fucking killed my turkey. It didn't die, but it was like pretty bad. It was pretty crippled. It was like limp. It didn't drink any water for like a day, and then it wasn't eating, and then it like its legs were just like all fucked up, and then its wing was like drooping. And oh my God, I hadn't talked about it because it's like so raw. It's like it was so sad, and I was in such a state because like, you know, we ended up having a pretty bad gastro, and I was just at the start of it, and I'd like basically maimed my best fucking little friend, my little guy. And it was so sad. And yeah, and like I understand the comical value of the story because it's like I shit myself and then I squashed my turkey, and like anyway, but in the end, we had to like rehab his leg all over again and da-da-da. And yeah, there just isn't a happy ending to this story, I'm afraid, everyone. Like it just got worse and worse. And by that point, he was too big to actually like heal it. Like you need to get it when it's like kind of young and small and undeveloped. So we ended up like it just couldn't walk and it was all fucked up. So we ended up having to, yeah, just neck it. and it was devastating. And
Babe.
and so that's like a pretty raw TMI story. It involves like poo and also kind of squashing your pet. It's like it is funny. It is funny, but it's also really sad.
Oh my God, babe, that's horrific. I would be like like you poor thing. Like the
It
gastro.
was like the worst day.
Oh, the
It was
gastro
like,
bad enough, but like injuring your pet, like
yeah.
no. Oh,
Dude,
babe.
like the amount of guilt, like, because this thing was so devoted to me and I was so like smitten by it. It was like my little, it spent like a month just like on my lap all the time kind of thing. So yeah, I remember that feeling, just like holding it in my hands, just like crying hysterically. Lockie's obviously like supportive and loving, but like it is a little bit funny, and he's still teasing me because I shit myself. Even amongst that, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like I was hysterical because like I don't think I'd ever felt so bad. Like just so guilty and so yeah, it was horrible. It was really like my worst nightmare. Yeah.
Babe, I'm so sorry. That's fucking horrific.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. But anyway,
oh, you poor
have you
thing.
got any stories to sort of lighten the mood?
I can't like think of any at the top of my head. I feel like I mean, that take stories to made me take a step back of like, oh, but
I
yeah,
know. It's pretty hard to relate to that one. It doesn't go, "Yeah, that makes me think of this time."
yeah. That makes me think of this time I squashed my animal. But yeah, no, I feel like in terms of shitting myself, I'm not really don't have really stories to relate with that one.
It's probably a good thing. Yeah. Lucky
Yeah,
you.
thank God. I haven't been to
Mm.
India though, so that's probably my saving grace.
Yeah, seriously. That'll undo like the best microbiome. Like it'll get ya.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um well, I mean, we could probably wrap up pretty soon. I've got like other stories. I guess I'll save them for a future epi. But maybe I'll tell one more so that we're not ending on like a dead turkey. Um Hey, me again. If you'd like to support the potty and you've already given it 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, I want to mention that you can buy some really dope merch from the website and get yourself a Labia Lounge tote, tee, togs. Yep, you heard that right. I even have Labia Lounge bathers. Or a cute fanny pack if that'd blow your hair back. So if fashion isn't your passion though, you can donate to my Buy Me a Coffee donation page, which is actually called Buy Me a Soy Chai Latte, because I'll be the first to admit I'm a bit of a Melbourne cafe tosser like that. And yes, that is my coffee order. You can do a once-off donation or an ongoing membership and sponsor me for as little as 3 fat ones a month. And I also have a Sunroom profile over on the Sunroom app, as I've mentioned. And I also offer one-on-one coaching and online courses that'll help you level up your sex life and relationship with yourself and others in a really big way. So every bit helps, because it ain't cheap to put out a sweet podcast into the world every week out of my own pocket. So I will be undyingly grateful if you support me and my biz financially in any of these ways. And if you like, I'll even give you a mental BJ with my mind from the lounge itself. Saucy. I'll pop the links in the show notes. Thank you. Later. It's just a little anecdote, and it's not like a funny one, but it might be relatable to people. I had so much shame and like self-consciousness around my body, but in particular my boobs. Not because I would have had the self-consciousness anyway, because they were fucking tiny. Like I never actually grew boobs. And I was always like wearing like these like padded bras with shit in them, like just to make it look like I had boobs, like, which is, a bit of a common story. But I remember like a really damaging thing that my first boyfriend said, like, and I don't even know if he'd seen my boobs because I was literally so self-conscious I never let him see me naked. Like I would have a shower with him with bathers on, and we would have sex in the dark, and I would have my bra on at all times, and he wasn't allowed to touch them. So like I was cripplingly self-conscious. Like it was, no foreplay. He wasn't allowed to touch my vulva because I was like embarrassed about being like so hairy. And so it was pretty much like we'd kiss and then dick in vag, like no foreplay, because otherwise he would feel my like horrific body. And like I remember him saying this thing about maybe he did catch a glimpse. Yeah, I think he caught a glimpse, and it was always this like, because he was just an annoying teenage boy, so he was always like being playful and silly and like teasing me or like razzing me up. And so because he knew I was so like, oh my god, don't look at me, like always trying to hide my bits, he would try to like spring me. Which is kind of fucked up. But I think he caught a glimpse, and he like said he called them like orangutan tits, like talked about like Nat Geo tits, where like you see those orangutans with like the he called them like triangular boobs. Like it's really hard to describe unless like you saw a photo, but you know,
I know exactly.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like not just like round boob, round nipple that sort of sticks out in that perfect way that you see in like photos or porn. It's like more of like pyramidy
slope kind of
shape
vibe.
with like yeah. And like when my nipples are not like hard or cold or erect or whatever, it's just like soft, and they're not like that prominent sort of like there's the nipple, there's the areola, there's the breast, you know? So anyway, like I was already really self-conscious about that, and they're fucking tiny. And he fucking called them orangutan tits, and OT, like ot. He would like tease me and say ot for short. And like that has still
God.
stuck with me. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? What
I
the
hate
fuck?
him.
Like, way to give someone huge body yeah, I know. Yeah, so not like a funny one to end on, but maybe a relatable one, because I know there's a lot of people with like breast self-consciousness and shame, whether it be about their nipples, whether it be about the size, or like the sort of sag or whatever. It's definitely a thing. So fuck
100%.
those guys.
I think you've also got to
Yeah.
remember, like, everyone has their thing on their body too. Like I have big boobs, like my tits are huge, but I have massive areolas and really flat nipples. And I fucking hate, like, it's the one thing is I don't like my areolas. And I dated this guy when I was in high school, and he told everyone I had like dinner plate nipples, like said I had these huge nipples.
Oh.
Everyone would tease me. And like, so, you know, regardless if it's like orangutan tits or fucking large nipples or saggy tits, or like, I feel like we're so conditioned to these things by like, you know, all these circumstances and stuff that happen when we're growing up, and they do scar you. And like, I was fucking 14 and it still affects me at this age. Like I'll take my top off a guy and I'll make my nipples hard because I hate my nipples when they're not hard.
Yeah. I'll like tweak them, or like I don't do it anymore, but I used to like, you know, tweak them and pinch them to make them go hard.
I do that
if I knew the guy was about to see. Yeah. Oh, babe. It's so scarring. Hey.
Yeah. And it's not like, you know, I know Matt would love me regardless, but like I still like will pinch them or like, you know, squeeze I'm doing it right now. Like I'll still like my tits or something. Yeah. So like, yeah, it's definitely a thing. And I think it's like nice to know that other people, like, I mean, you don't want anyone else to have gone through that, but it's nice to know people also have the same kind of thoughts and feelings that you do.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, exactly. That's like exactly what this is all about. And like, I just really hope that you get to a point where you don't feel the need to tweak your nipples, because it's very liberating. And it took me so long. Like I still did it with Lockie for ages. And it took a while, but like, yeah, eventually you just get to the point where like it just doesn't fucking matter. And you know, I used to like kind of look forward to the day that I would have a kid and breastfeed, because I'd have big boobs and my nipples would get more prominent, because if the baby was going to be able to latch, I'd need to have like, I just saw my mum's nips and I was like, holy fuck, like they're so prominent. They like the actual nipple bit sticks out so much. It must be from so much breastfeeding. I actually don't know if that's true. But I was
No.
like, yeah, one day I'm going to have sticky outy nipples and big
Yeah.
boobs, you know?
Yeah, fully. That's what I'm like hanging out for my nipples to pop. I'm like, but then your areolas get wet. So I'm like going to be fucking ruined.
Nah. Oh, babe, it's been so fun. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you so much for having me. And we should totally do another one soon.
Yeah, amazing. Well, if any of you have any stories or ideas for a TMI that was sparked from this episode, please send them in to either Kat or I, because we'll definitely do more. I think these are really valuable and they're just fun.
They are fun. I love it.
Cool. All right, labial legends. I'll see you later. Bye.
See ya.
And that's it, darling hearts. Thank you for stopping by the Labia Lounge. Your bum groove in the couch will be right where you left it, just waiting for you to sink back in for some more double L action next time. And in the meantime, if you'd be a dear and subscribe, share this episode, or leave a review on iTunes, then you can pat yourself on the snatch, because that, my dear, is a downright act of sex-positive feminist activism. And you'd be supporting my vision to educate, empower, demystify, and destigmatize with this here podcast. Also, I'm always open to feedback, topic ideas that you'd love to hear covered, or guest suggestions. So feel free to get in touch via my website at freyagraph.com or say hey over on Insta. My handle is Freya_graph_YMT, and I seriously hope you're following me on there, because damn, we have fun. Anyway, later labial legends. I'll see you next time.